Question is, can China open their population, their traders to crypto legally in next, let's say, 5 years?
So can they?
2 years ago, if you ask me the question, is absolutely zero.
No.
Now, more than 50%.
It didn't happen in a press conference. It didn't make the front page of the Wall Street Journal. But somewhere halfway around the world, a switch was flipped, and in that moment the future of money shifted forever. China didn't just make an announcement. They made a move. While the rest of the world was arguing about ETFs and having cycles, Beijing was finalizing a system that connects directly to the ISO 20022 global messaging standard, the same framework that powers XRP, XLM, HBAR, and XDC. That's not speculation. That's the quiet architecture of the next financial system. And the people who understand that architecture, the ones who actually see through the noise, they know this wasn't just another government update. It was a signal. China has been building its digital yuan for years. Most people dismissed it as an experiment. But now it's connecting through new rails, digital settlement pathways that align perfectly with ISO 20022 compliance. That's not random. That's strategy. Because in a world where value moves in milliseconds, whoever controls the rails controls the game. And China just stepped onto the field with a full playbook. Let's get something straight. This isn't about replacing Bitcoin. It's about outpacing the West. While the US still debates crypto regulation in congressional hearings, China's already syncing its digital currency with the systems that global banks are adopting. And here's where it gets crazy, those same systems? They're speaking the same digital language as XRP, XLM, HBAR, and XDC. Every single one of these tokens is tied to real-world utility, not speculation. XRP is building the cross-border settlement rails, the instant bridge between fiat and digital. XLM is focused on financial inclusion and stablecoin liquidity, connecting individuals and institutions at lightning speed. HBAR provides the enterprise-grade security layer, trusted by corporations, governments, and institutions. XDC powers trade finance, the backbone of how goods and payments flow across borders. Now imagine all four of them operating in a system that just got supercharged by China's digital push. This is the part people don't get. China doesn't move without purpose. Every technological rollout they've ever done, from 5G to AI, has been about one thing: control through infrastructure. And now their new infrastructure is financial. Think about what that means. The digital yuan is no longer just a domestic payment tool. It's becoming a bridge currency in global trade. And what do you need to bridge value instantly, across borders, without friction? You need interoperability. And interoperability is exactly what ISO 20022 delivers, the same foundation that XLM, XRP, HBAR, and XDC were built on years before the switch flipped. Here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. The West built the Internet of Information. China just flipped the switch on the Internet of Value. And these four coins, XRP, XLM, HBAR, and XDC, are the digital bridges connecting everything. It's not about price right now. It's about positioning. The world's monetary systems are moving into a new phase: programmable, interconnected, instantaneous. The rails are being upgraded in real time, and every financial institution that wants to survive will have to speak this new digital language. That's what this switch really is, the transition from paper value to programmable liquidity. For years, retail traders treated XRP and XLM like underdogs, too slow, too quiet, too corporate. But what if that's exactly what made them unstoppable? While the meme coins fought for hype, these tokens were being engineered for compliance, partnerships, and scale. HBAR, with its governance council filled with companies like Google, IBM, and Boeing, was never trying to win the retail narrative. It was building the infrastructure narrative. XDC was quietly solving trillion-dollar trade problems while everyone else was watching Dogecoin trends. And now, with China syncing its infrastructure to ISO 20022, the global stage is aligning with the very coins that built for this exact moment. It's not some wild theory, it's systems design. This isn't about one country or one coin. It's a monetary alignment that's been brewing since 2019. And every time the West hesitated, China built. Every time regulators stalled, Developers in Asia shipped code, signed partnerships, tested corridors. Now the pipes are ready. The liquidity is coming. The rails are live. When people say China just flipped the switch, this is what they mean, not some conspiracy, but a shift in global settlement power. A change in who moves money fastest. And once that happens, once settlement moves at the speed of thought, the markets won't have time to react. They'll just wake up one morning and realize the future already arrived. That's why XRP, XLM, HBAR, and XDC matter now more than ever. Because they're not waiting for approval, they're waiting for activation. And that activation might have just begun. What we're seeing right now isn't just a digital currency rollout. It's a digital empire strategy. The People's Bank of China, PBoC, has been running real-world pilots for the Digital Yuan in over 20 cities, from Shenzhen to Chengdu. Billions of dollars worth of transactions have already moved across the system, quietly, efficiently, and, most importantly, interoperably. And if you trace those pipelines back, what do you find? Every single connection points toward ISO 20022, the same global financial language that's being adopted by SWIFT, the European Central Bank, and dozens of major economies. That's where XRP, XLM, HBAR, and XDC come in. Because while China's CBDC might be national, the infrastructure layer it's syncing with is international. These four coins are the ones that speak that universal language. XRP, the bridge for instant settlement. Ripple's tech has already been tested with central banks, and its corridors in Asia-Pacific are some of the most active in the world. XLM, the coin built for inclusion, perfect for micropayments and stablecoins. In a system like China's, XLM isn't competition. It's complementary. HBAR, the enterprise-grade trust layer. Governments and corporations need security, speed, and finality. Hedera's Hashgraph technology offers all three. XDC, the unsung hero of trade finance, something China dominates globally. From port logistics to supply chain payments, this is where XDC becomes essential. Together, these tokens form the connective tissue of the new financial order, digital assets that don't fight the system, but plug into it. That's the key. Because while the West keeps trying to regulate crypto, China is integrating blockchain into regulation. They're not fighting innovation, they're absorbing it. It's not about decentralization versus control anymore. It's about coordination. And that's what ISO 20022 enables. A universal programmable message layer where money, identity, and data all move seamlessly. When China flipped the switch, they didn't just turn on their CBDC. They turned on compatibility, and that's what the markets haven't priced in yet. Every payment, every transaction, every remittance that flows through an ISO-compliant channel increases demand for the assets that can move with it. And that means the rails running under XRP, XLM, HBAR, and XDC just got supercharged. Here's what's wild. China isn't acting alone. Look around. The BRICS alliance is moving toward settlement mechanisms that bypass SWIFT entirely. The Middle East is experimenting with tokenized oil payments. Africa's fintech sector is exploding with stablecoin corridors tied to Stellar and Ripple tech. It's like the world is quietly rerouting itself, not away from the dollar, but toward digital interoperability. That's the real revolution. Not a flashy overnight collapse, but a slow, strategic migration. Every country building their own CBDC, every institution modernizing their rails, every regulatory body aligning their systems, all under one technical standard, ISO 20022. And what are the coins that were born for that? You already know. XRP, XLM, HBAR, XDC. People ask, when will the bull run start? But what if it's already started, not in price action, but in adoption curves? What if we're in the middle of the silent phase, the infrastructure build before the floodgates open? That's how revolutions happen. They look invisible until they're inevitable. The truth is, this switch wasn't just flipped in China, it's flipping everywhere. In India, the Reserve Bank is testing instant cross-border settlement. In Europe, the digital euro is being aligned with ISO 20022 messaging. In Africa, Stellar-based payment corridors are solving what Western banks ignored for decades. This isn't a coincidence. It's a pattern, and patterns are what make fortunes in crypto. Because every great cycle has the same heartbeat. Disbelief, ridicule, adoption, explosion. And right now, we're somewhere between disbelief and adoption. The smart money isn't waiting for the explosion. They're already inside the infrastructure that's causing it. And if you think the giants don't know it, look again. Every time Ripple signs another bank. Every time Hedera adds a new governance member. Every time Stellar partners with a fintech or XDC appears in trade documentation, the puzzle fills in a little more. You can laugh at the ISO 20022 crowd all you want. But the truth is, they're not conspiracy theorists, they're early historians. They're mapping the rails of a financial system that's already leaving the station. And China? They're just the first to flip the lights on. People keep waiting for some bull run announcement. But they're missing what's right in front of them. The flip already happened. The money just hasn't moved yet. Every financial revolution starts with a protocol upgrade. A silent change that redefines what's possible. That's what ISO 20022 is doing right now. It's the new grammar for money, a universal language that connects old banking rails with the new digital frontier. And here's the thing. China's adoption of that standard doesn't stay in China. When the world's second-largest economy syncs its monetary systems to a programmable global standard, every partner, every trading block, every supply chain linked to it gets pulled into that ecosystem. That's the network effect nobody's talking about, and it's the exact environment where XRP, XLM, HBAR, and XDC thrive. XRP becomes the bridge, the instant liquidity plug-in between banks, currencies, and continents. XLM steps in as the retail and microtransaction layer, the highway for stablecoins, remittances, and fast consumer payments. HBAR powers the enterprise trust grid handling tokenization, identity, and high-speed settlement. XDC carries the weight of global trade, bills of lading, customs, and supply chain financing moving at machine speed. You can almost visualize it. Money flowing like water, frictionless, borderless, unstoppable. And that's the point. The world isn't preparing for crypto. It's preparing for digitized liquidity. When people hear China flipped the switch, they imagine a light show. What actually flipped is a settlement switch. The one that tells the rest of the world, we're ready to move value faster. And once that happens, liquidity doesn't trickle in. It floods. Think back to the early days of the internet. Once the protocols were standardized, once every computer could speak the same language, the network effect took over. Growth wasn't linear. It was exponential. That's what ISO 20022 does for money. It's TCP, IP for finance. And these 4 coins are the ones written in that language. The timing couldn't be more perfect, because 2025 isn't shaping up to be another hype cycle. It's shaping up to be the infrastructure cycle. Banks are being forced to upgrade. Central banks are testing interoperability. And retail investors, the ones still stuck on memes and having charts, will be the last to realize what's actually happening beneath the surface. This is how wealth transfer begins. Quietly, technically, systemically, not with a bang but with a protocol update. And if you trace the liquidity flows from Asia to Africa, from BRICS to the Middle East, you'll see the same architecture forming everywhere. Interconnected rails, instant payments, standardized messages, and tokenized value. That's not a coincidence. That's coordination. You can feel it in the way institutions are moving, Ripple signing new corridors, Hedera landing government pilots, Stellar integrating fintech networks, and XDC bridging trade finance platforms. They're not competing with each other. They're completing each other. Together, they form the digital nervous system of this new financial world. And once that liquidity wave hits, once real money starts moving through these rails, you won't have to wonder which projects are real. The market will show you. Because when the pipes are live, speculation dies. Utility wins. And that's where we are right now, standing in the calm before the flood. The silence isn't hesitation. It's synchronization. And when it breaks, every XRP, XLM, HBAR, and XDC holder will know exactly what just happened. When history looks back on this decade, it won't remember the memes. It won't remember the market crashes, the hype cycles, or the influencer calls. It'll remember the quiet moment when the financial operating system of the world changed. Right now, behind the noise, the rails are being laid. The old systems, SWIFT, CHIPS, Fedwire, are being recoded, rebuilt, realigned. Every major central bank is testing interoperability. And every global trade corridor is preparing for one thing: tokenized value movement at scale. This isn't about speculation anymore. It's about replacement. The old world ran on analog money. The new world runs on programmable liquidity. And that's where XRP, XLM, HBAR, and XDC stop being cryptos and start being infrastructure. Let's break it down one last time. When China flipped that switch, it didn't just accelerate its own CBDC. It aligned itself with the future of instant settlement. That's not just national strategy. That's global leverage. And when the world's second-largest economy goes digital first, every nation trading with it must adapt. That's BRICS, ASEAN, the African Continental Free Trade Area, and the Middle East, all connected through a web of interoperability. You can already see the rails forming. Ripple's on-demand liquidity spreading across corridors once dominated by SWIFT. Stellar's integration with MoneyGram and cross-border fintechs setting the stage for micro-level remittances. Hedera's enterprise council tying together banks, governments, and Fortune 500s on a trustless ledger. XDC's trade finance bridges connecting shipping, logistics, and credit flows. It's not random. It's blueprint execution. And while most people are waiting for Bitcoin to make headlines, the world's real liquidity pipes are being tested quietly through networks that speak the same ISO 20022 language. Every headline, every bank partnership, every standard upgrade points to one inevitable truth. Backhand index pointing right: these networks aren't in competition. They're building the same system from different angles. When that system activates globally, the financial world as we know it doesn't collapse, it evolves. Money stops being slow, paper-based, and permissioned. It becomes fluid, programmable, and borderless. And when that happens, value moves in seconds, not days. Transactions clear in real time. Settlements don't need intermediaries. And the new global rails will demand assets that can handle that speed, efficiency, and trust. That's where the ISO 20022 elite come in. The XRP ledger, the Stellar network, Hedera Hashgraph, and XDC's hybrid blockchain aren't just projects. They're the digital engines of the new global economy. And as institutional liquidity begins to move, as central banks, corporates, and trade systems start settling across these rails, retail investors won't be able to buy the rumor. The rumor will already be reality. By the time the world realizes what just happened, those who positioned early will already be standing on the other side of history. The side that understood that money was never about hype, it was about infrastructure. And that true wealth doesn't come from speculation. It comes from being in sync with the system before it goes live. Because make no mistake, the flip wasn't a press release. It was a system event. The banks know it. The corporations know it. And now you know it. So when the liquidity starts flowing, and these ISO tokens begin doing what they were built to do, bridging currencies, powering instant payments, securing trade, and authenticating transactions, remember this moment. You were early enough to see the signs. Because in every global transformation, there are two kinds of people. Those who notice too late, and those who prepare before it happens. You already know which side you're on. So if you're holding XRP, XLM, HBAR, or XDC, you're not just holding coins. You're holding positions in the future infrastructure of the global economy. The question now is, will you act like it? Because when the liquidity wave hits, there's no second chance to front-run history. This is the moment. This is the flip. This is where everything changes. If this opened your eyes, hit that like button so more people wake up before it's too late. Drop a comment below. I'm ready for the flip. And if you're holding any of the ISO 20022 giants, XRP, XLM, HBAR, or XDC, subscribe right now because the next few weeks are going to be massive. This isn't financial advice. It's financial awareness. The era of real-time value has begun, and you're watching it happen in real time,